Ladies and gentlemen, you're here on the Urban Conservative. Breaking news, decision 2024. It is going down. Runoff in North Carolina on May 14th. Obviously, we've got a lieutenant governor, a state auditor, and there is a congressional race that has gone to a runoff up in North Carolina's 13th congressional district. One of the interesting things is there's a fact check now coming out. This is Kelly Daughtry versus Brad Knott up in North Carolina's 13th congressional district. Now you have two people competing for this seat, ladies and gentlemen. And the interesting thing about this is as primaries do, things tend to get heated. As you can see, on your left is Kelly Daughtry, on your right is Brad Knott. Now it is time for a fact check because Kelly Daughtry has put out an attack ad accusing the GOP congressional candidate of being an attorney for Joe Biden. To wit, what you will see here on your screen is a screenshot of the said ad that was put up there. Don't let Biden's lawyer off the hook. So with that, it's now time for a fact check. Two Republicans again facing each other in a primary runoff for the congressional seat in the 13th district, which covers part of the Raleigh area. One of the candidates, Kelly Daughtry, you see on your left, makes the claim about her opponent, Brad Knott, in the TV ad. Quote, "Our border is in crisis thanks to Biden. And where was never Trumper Brad Knott? Working for Joe Biden's Department of Justice." That's right. Brad Knott was a lawyer for Joe Biden. The ad also shows an image of Knott shaking hands with President Biden with the caption, "Don't let Biden's lawyer off the hook." Interesting. Now, there was a fact check done on NPR, so not the most right-leaning thing. Paul Speck said Brad Knott is a United States attorney, or at least he was between 2016 and 2023. This is the first time running for political office, and then his opponent, Kelly Daughtry, ran for the seat in 2022. She's a private attorney. She's attacking Knott for working as an assistant U.S. district attorney under the Biden administration. So the question is, where do U.S. assistant attorneys fit into the justice system, and do they answer to or work for the president? Speck says no. Assistant U.S. attorneys are sort of the rank and file of the Justice Department. They're not appointed by any politician, including the president, nor are they hired by the president. Here's how it works. When there's a new administration, a new presidential administration, the president appoints a new attorney general. He runs the Department of Justice. He also gets to appoint U.S. attorneys to run the 94 districts across the country. It's common for them to be replaced, but sometimes U.S. attorneys stay in place. People may remember there was a congressman from Raleigh, George Holding. He prosecuted John Edwards for the scandalous things that were happening during his campaign. George Holding was a Republican who served under Obama and prosecuted John Edwards. So there's a little background. Then there's assistant U.S. attorneys. They're hired by U.S. attorneys, and in some indirect way, a political appointee, being the U.S. attorney, often gets a say in who works there, but he does not come in and clean house. That's not how it works. Now, to look at Brad Knott's case. He was hired in 2016. That year, Obama's appointee to North Carolina's Eastern District had already resigned. That's a common thing. When the president's term is winding down, a lot of the political appointees jump ship. They know that, in Obama's case, he couldn't run again. So when Knott was hired, there was an acting U.S. attorney, sort of a substitute U.S. attorney, if you will, and his name was John Bruce. So the man who hired Brad Knott to be assistant U.S. attorney was not a political appointee himself, so not somebody appointed by Biden. He stayed on through the end of Obama's term, through Trump's term, and then when Biden got elected, Knott said that he wanted to stay on and continue working on the big cases, seeing them through before leaving. That was his reason for staying even during the Biden years. So if the question is, if you're an assistant U.S. attorney, there's a lot of separation between the assistant U.S. attorney and the president. Speck says that's right. There's a U.S. attorney, then there's the attorney general, and then there's the president. Assistant U.S. attorneys are not political actors. Okay? Now, some of the information was shared with the Daughtry campaign, who is attacking Knott in this ad. They focused on the wording of their ad where they referred to Knott as Biden's lawyer, and they said, hey, look at this event that the Republican Party had here in Wake County. There's a clip of Brad Knott where he refers to himself as a prosecutor under the Biden White House. But if you watch it, you see he was just responding to a question about how he had to compromise with Democrats just to get his job done. KNOTT told the crowd that he had to abide by some of the administration policies that he didn't necessarily agree with. He abided by them in order to build cases against the suspects he wanted to prosecute. So the question is, how do we rate this claim in this ad? Don't let Biden's lawyer off the hook. Now, for the record, this isn't me. This is happening between, this is NPR reporting this basically. So the claim in this ad is that he's Biden's lawyer. Spec says we focused on the ad's claim that Brad Knott was a lawyer for Joe Biden. The Daughtry campaign made their argument that he referred to himself as a prosecutor under the Biden White House. That's still not indicative of how the organization works. They're rating that claim false because he wasn't hired by Biden. He wasn't even appointed by Biden, and Biden did not have a direct influence over his cases on the ground in Eastern North Carolina. It's also important to note here that the ad shows an image of Knott shaking hands with Joe Biden. Knott in his own campaign had responded and said that image is doctored. He never shook hands with Joe Biden. So when you see this, you got to know that that's a doctored image. That's how dirty politics is getting, folks. That's how nasty some folks will do. They'll go that far. That's a very interesting thing. Last but certainly not least, it's really misleading for someone to put out a doctored Photoshop image like that to suggest Knott and Biden were buddies. Because what you got to remember is, and I will not do this in my campaign, I'm not going to doctor up a picture. I have a picture that is an actual picture of Alma Adams and Joe Biden together. I don't have to doctor that, but it is misleading to put that out there because there's an element of people in our society, in our country, that are just going to look at what they see on TV and rock with that. I saw the picture, he was shaking hands with him. Okay. Then there's the fact that Daughtry's campaign referred to Knott as a never Trumper. They're basing that on the fact that Knott skipped a couple of Republican primaries in 16 and 20. Knott says that he voted for Trump in the general those years, and now he's endorsed by President Trump, which is the interesting to all of this. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The fact check coming back. Brad Knott, Kelly Daughtry race up there in North Carolina's 13th congressional district. Kelly Daughtry on the left saying that Brad Knott was indeed an attorney for Joe Biden, but that is not the case. NPR fact check said that's not true. You find out for yourself, do a little research, but that's breaking news here on The Urban Conservative. Keep your eyes open on what's happening up there in the 13th district. Give us a like, share, follow, subscribe. We'll holler back at y'all later. Peace and love.